Night after night, Ukrainian-made drones cut through the darkness. Precision strikes hitting ammunition depots hundreds of kilometers behind enemy lines. Missiles finding their targets with pinpoint accuracy. This is the new face of warfare, and Ukraine isn't just surviving, they're striking back. But here's what makes this possible. It's 2025, and across Europe, factory floors that once gathered dust are alive again. The sound of artillery shells rolling off assembly lines, drones being packed for shipment, and in America, convoys loaded with precision-guided missiles worth hundreds of millions of dollars are heading east. This isn't charity. This is strategy. Because on the other side, there's a network. Iran sending drone swarms, North Korea shipping rocket barrages, all of it fueling Russia's war machine, inching closer to NATO's borders. Welcome to the War Update, your guide to understanding how these global forces are colliding and why what happens next could reshape everything. Stay with us, because the story you're about to hear, it's already changing the world. Let's start with Europe. For years, they sent old stockpiles, weapons gathering dust in warehouses. Not anymore. In 2025, they're building new, fresh production lines, real partnerships with Ukraine. The numbers tell the story. Through the European Peace Facility, the EU has committed 66 billion euros overall to Ukraine's armed forces, including 6.1 billion euros directly for weapons like artillery rounds and armored vehicles. But here's what makes it different now. They're not just shipping weapons, they're co-producing them. The EU-Ukraine Defense Industries Forum has identified over a dozen joint projects. We're talking kamikaze drones with 1,000-kilometer ranges, artillery shells, 155mm howitzers, cranking out thousands per month. And because Ukraine's manufacturing costs are lower, Europe could save billions while strengthening their own security. Now, cross the Atlantic. The United States isn't sitting this out either. This year alone, they've approved more than $200 million in direct arms sales, featuring air-launched precision munitions valued at up to $825 million, including joint direct attack munitions with GPS guidance for strikes accurate within meters. But the real game changer? Drones. Ukrainian and American engineers working side by side, developing interceptor models with AI-powered autonomous targeting. We're talking about tech deals potentially worth $50 billion to $150 billion. Why now? Why this surge? Because the threat isn't abstract anymore. There's an axis forming, call it what you want, where Russia, Iran, North Korea, and others are actively undermining Western security. And as NATO considers expansion, these adversaries are watching, waiting, testing boundaries. So the West's arsenal is waking up. The question is, will it be enough? Now, let's talk about who's really powering Russia's war machine. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Nearly every advanced weapon Russia fields contains foreign components. Think about that for a second. Taiwanese navigation chips, German sensors, Chinese microelectronics, all slipping through sanctions like water through a sieve. But the real suppliers, they're not hiding. North Korea delivered 6.5 million artillery shells in 2023-2024 alone. We're talking 152mm and 122mm calibers for howitzers like the 2S-19 AMS-S. Though intelligence suggests shipments have halved in 2025, Pyongyang's running low, and quality control, let's just say misfires are becoming a problem. Iran provides drones and missiles. China, they're pumping over $100 billion yearly into Russia through oil and gas purchases, directly funding everything from T-14 Armada tank upgrades to Su-35 fighter jets. And Belarus quietly operates as the repair hub. Analysts are calling this an axis of evil, and the ties are deepening. Russia trades advanced technology for weapons, undermining international norms, testing how far they can push before NATO responds. Behind every Russian advance, there are hidden hands, deals signed in shadows, payments made in conflict. Let's break down exactly what each player brings to the table, because when you see the specifics, the scale of this network becomes crystal clear. Belarus goes first. They're supplying 1,880 distinct components to 255 Russian defense companies. We're talking wheeled chassis for Iskander-M ballistic missiles, systems that can hit targets 500 kilometers away at hypersonic speeds. Optical sights for 700 T-72B3 tanks equipped with thermal imaging. The ammunition? It peaked at over 130,000 tons of 152mm shells in 2022 to 2023, but dropped dramatically to 4,500 to 5,000 tons in 2024. Still, they're repairing MiG-29 jets and producing carbon fiber for Lancet drones. North Korea has escalated beyond shells. They're sending KN-23 short-range ballistic missiles that hit targets 450 kilometers away at Mach 5. And here's something that caught everyone off guard. They've deployed special forces units to the Kursk region. Ukrainian forces actually captured a Type 75 multiple launch rocket system on the Pokrovsk axis. It's a relic from the 1960s, firing 240mm rockets in salvos. But don't let the age fool you. It still does damage. What does North Korea get in return? Russia's sharing solid fuel technology for the Hwasong-20 intercontinental ballistic missile, dramatically extending Pyongyang's nuclear reach. Those supplies are thinning, fewer shells, more duds. Iran's contribution centers on the Shahed drones. They've evolved significantly from the 2022 Shahed 136, with 2,000-kilometer ranges and 40-kilogram explosives, to the 2025 Garan-2 models, featuring 90-kilogram warheads, satellite navigation resistant to jamming, and AI capabilities for swarm tactics. They're producing thousands at Russia's Alabuga plant. Moscow's paying Iran back by advancing their uranium enrichment programs. Yeah, nuclear programs. China plays it more subtle. They're buying Russian crude at discounted rates exceeding $100 billion annually, keeping Russia's economy afloat. And in return, they're exporting dual-use components, engines for FPV drones, microchips for Caliber cruise missiles. Beijing profits while Russia stays isolated, all while expanding their own naval presence in the Pacific. From Minsk to Beijing, every piece fits. It's a puzzle of power, assembled specifically to challenge the free world. So what does Ukraine face on the ground? Let me paint you the picture. On any given night, Iranian Garan-2 drones launch in barrages of up to 100 units. North Korean KN-23 missiles with 690-kilogram warheads target cities. Chinese-sourced FPV quadcopters rigged with 2-kilogram explosives attack trenches. Belarusian upgraded 2S-3 Akatsiya howitzers fire 152mm shells at 17-kilometer ranges. Foreign technology is everywhere in Russian systems. Chinese chips in hypersonic Kinjal missiles, Iranian optics in Orlan 10 reconnaissance drones. It's a truly hybrid threat. And yet, Ukraine isn't just surviving, they're innovating. By mid-2025, they're producing 40% of their frontline weapons domestically, with a goal of hitting 50% by December. We're talking monthly outputs of 40 Bodana howitzers, thousands of FPV drones with night vision upgrades. Their annual defense production hit $10 billion in 2024. They're projecting $35 billion by 2026. And here's the kicker. They're creating surpluses for export starting November 2025, limited to EU and US allies with specific conditions. Ukrainian strikes on facilities like Kupol have slashed Russian drone launches by 1/3. They're taking the tools meant to overwhelm them and turning them into twisted metal. Overwhelmed? Maybe, but unbreakable. Here's what it comes down to. This interconnected threat isn't going away, and isolated responses won't cut it. What we're seeing right now, Europe's €66 billion commitment, America's $200 million plus in-arms sales, Ukraine's export-ready arsenal. This forms a triad, 3 pillars holding the line against autocratic expansion. Some are calling it a new axis of evil. CNN, policy analysts, they're all grappling with what to name this network. Opportunistic? Absolutely. Dangerous? Without question. But here's the thing about networks. They can be countered by networks. Collective innovation, joint drone technology, shared intelligence. Coordinated production, this is what tips the scales. The debates rage on in Brussels, Washington, Kyiv. How much support? What kinds of weapons? What's the endgame? But while politicians debate, engineers are building, soldiers are training, alliances are strengthening. Because the alternative? Division. And in division lies defeat. But in unity, that's where you find the dawn of deterrence. That's where the tide can turn. That's the War Update. Facts from the front, context from the ground. The world is watching, choices are being made, and the outcome? That depends on whether the free world stands together or stands aside. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and tune in next time for more. Because this story is far from over. Unity prevails.